Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're deep in study mode for your PPD or PD exams, you know that commercial roofing is a topic you absolutely, positively have to nail. So today, we're going to crack the code and break down exactly what you need to know for the ARE. Let's dive right in.
So let's kick things off with a classic RE-style question. What is the cheapest flat roof for a commercial building? Now, I bet your first instinct is to think about the cost of the materials themselves, right? But the exam, it's designed to be tricky, to test a much deeper understanding. The most obvious answer here is definitely not the right one.
Yeah, the real answer here is probably not what you're thinking, and it might actually surprise you. So let's break down the main commercial roofing systems, and we're going to focus specifically on what you need to know to absolutely nail this kind of question on exam day.
First things first, let's meet the main players in this game. You know, for the ARE, you really just need to have a solid grip on three main families of flat roofing. You've got the old school classic, built-up roofing, its more modern cousin, modified bitumen, and the current champion, single-ply membranes.
Okay, let's start with the original gangster, built-up roofing, or just BUR. The easiest way to think about this is like a lasagna for your roof. It's built right there on site by layering multiple sheets, or plies, of felt with piping hot asphalt, and then it's usually topped with gravel. It is heavy, it's super durable, and its biggest advantage is redundancy. You get a puncture in one layer, no big deal, you've got others to back it up. It's a proven old-school workhorse.
Next up, we have modified bitumen, or ModBit. Think of this as the factory-made evolution of BUR. So instead of sloshing hot asphalt and layering everything on the job site, ModBit comes in these convenient prefabricated rolls of asphalt that have already been modified with polymers to make them perform better, and that makes the whole installation process way faster.
Now, inside the ModBit family, there is a super critical distinction that the ARE just loves to test: SBS versus APP. It's simple, really. Think of SBS as being modified with rubber, which makes it stretchy and flexible, like a rubber band. This is perfect for cold climates where things expand and contract, or for a roof that's going to see a lot of foot traffic. APP, on the other hand, is modified with plastic. This makes it tougher against UV rays, so it's a much better pick for those hot, sunny climates. Getting this right is a huge deal.
And that brings us to the modern champion, single-ply membranes. I mean, this is pretty much the standard system today. The best analogy? Imagine rolling out one giant, high-tech yoga mat over the entire building. These are factory-made sheets of stuff like EPDM, which is basically just a synthetic rubber, or TPO and PVC. They go down in one single layer, which makes the whole process incredibly fast.
Okay, so now we know the players. Let's put them head-to-head in a little technical showdown. See, the ARE isn't just about memorizing definitions. It's about whether you can actually compare these systems and pick the right one for the job, based on all their technical pros and cons.
And looking at this chart, you can really see the key trade-offs right away. You've got BUR over here with its multiple heavy layers, and man, is it a slow installation, but it's super durable. Now, contrast that with a single ply like EPDM, just one lightweight layer, and the installation is lightning fast. ModBit, as you can see, kind of sits right there in the middle. When you see it laid out like this, the differences just pop.
So the most crucial takeaway here is the fundamental difference in philosophy. It's multiply versus single-ply. Multiply systems, like our friend BUR, are all about redundancy. You've got backup layers. If one fails, another one's got your back. Single-ply systems? Well, they put all their eggs in one basket, one single, high-tech, high-performance layer. There's no backup plan, which means the quality of that material, and most importantly, the installation at the seams, is absolutely critical.
All right, now for the part that trips up so many people: the cost. The exam wants to know if you get the difference between just the material cost and the total installed cost. This is where our little quiz question from the beginning starts to get really interesting. So if we only look at the cost of the materials per square foot, this chart tells a pretty clear story, right? Built-up roofing, that raw asphalt and felt, is often the cheapest material you can buy. Based on this alone, you'd think, okay, BUR is the most economical choice. Done. But that's only half the story.
And here comes the plot twist. Look at what happens when you factor in the labor costs. BUR is incredibly labor-intensive. It's slow, you need a big crew, you're dealing with hot, dangerous asphalt. The labor cost is through the roof. Now compare that to rolling out a big sheet of EPDM. It's fast, you need a smaller crew, so its labor cost is the lowest of the bunch. This changes everything.
So when we finally combine the material and the labor costs to get the total installed cost, we get our surprising answer. EPDM, that single-ply rubber membrane, often comes out as the most economical system overall, and BUR, despite having the cheapest materials,
actually ends up being more expensive because of that huge, massive labor component.
Let's just spell it out to make it crystal clear. For BUR, you've got low material cost plus a very high labor cost. For EPDM, you've got a medium material cost plus a very low labor cost. The money you save on labor for EPDM more than cancels out its slightly higher material price, which means a lower total price tag for the whole project. This is probably one of the most important concepts for you to remember for the exam.
Okay, let's pull all of this together into a final, high-impact summary. Seriously, think of this next part as your personal cheat sheet for commercial roofing when you walk into that exam room.
You have to remember, the exam is all about comparison. You're absolutely going to be expected to weigh these systems against each other based on these exact criteria. Knowing the key differences in cost, durability, and especially climate suitability, like our SBS versus APP showdown, that is your golden ticket to success.
So let's lock this information in. BUR, think traditional, heavy, durable, and high labor cost. SBS ModBit, think flexible, rubbery, perfect for cold climates and foot traffic. EPDM, your most economical option because of that super fast installation. TPO and PVC, great for reflective cool roofs because their seams are heat welded, which is awesome for waterproofing. And the golden rule, the one thing you can't forget, total installed cost is always more important than just the material cost. Labor is the real game changer.
So, to wrap it all up, let's put what we've learned to the test. Let's say you're designing a project in a really cold climate, and you know for a fact that maintenance crews are going to be walking all over that roof. Which system would you specify? If the first thing that popped into your head was SBS Modified Bitumen, you have absolutely nailed it. That right there is the kind of critical thinking that's going to get you a pass. Good luck with your studies.